What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I'm going to tell a story. I've already told the story. I recorded this video in the past, but I wanted today I wanted to just go over it again because I noticed I have a lot of new subscribers, but a lot of people don't go back and look at the old videos. And so today I want to go back to a video that impacted me a lot, a story that impacted me a lot. And certain people in my life, they have shared this video with other people that are struggling with certain things. They seem to like the video, and I'm gonna do it again. So I don't really like to tell too many stories of my childhood because my dad's still alive, and I don't want my dad to feel as though I'm shitting on him in any way. The man that my dad is now in his later years is not the man he was then. But this video, we're going to get to it. So some of you know I was born in San Gabriel, LA County. And when I was 3 years old, my mom was from LA County and my dad is from Santa Barbara, from the east side, right? And so in 77, my dad decided, it was time for us to be a family for whatever reason, right? So my mom moved both of us to Santa Barbara to be with my family, my dad and them, right? My mom was a product of the foster care system in LA, very wild. She had been a gang member in Monte, Northside. Her brother was also raised in foster care. Their sister was the only one that was kept at home for whatever reason. So my mom was wild, and into drugs and partying and all that. She had me exactly 3 months after she turned 16. My dad had a very violent upbringing, very, very strict and violent, physically abusive, mentally abusive. Neither one of my parents had a parental figure to pattern parenting after. So they weren't ready for me. And me growing up, I felt as if they didn't want me. That's maybe a different story, but let's get into this. So when they got together, they both had good jobs. My mom was a telephone operator for GTE. My dad worked at a big hospital, part of the maintenance crew. And they both made good money. And they were selling cocaine and weed on top of that, right? People always think, oh, he's from Santa Barbara, he had it good. I always tell people, everyone has a sad story, some just sadder than others. I can guarantee that most people didn't have to live the way I lived. My mom and dad had good jobs that were selling coke and weed, and our refrigerator was always empty. The cupboards were empty. I went to sleep hungry most of the time. I would usually, if I needed to eat, I would eat at the neighbor's house. And it was a trip. I don't like onions. I'm starting to get to where I can eat onions now, but I don't like onions because I remember one time there was absolutely no food in the house, but I found an onion and I ate that damn onion like it was an apple. And after that day, I couldn't stand onion, right? So anyways, I remember when they would hit, my dad would usually get a big, hefty bag full of buds and he'd separate them and he'd break it down and whatever. And then I remember they would get the however much coke they got, and they would sit in the living room. We had a 1 bedroom. They would sit in the living room As a child, I stayed out of the house as much as I could. I rode my bike. I was a dirty little kid. Didn't want to be in the house for nothing because walking into that house, one of them was going to beat the dog shit out of me. So I was on my bike. I was in the streets, right? But I remember they would hit and I would look through the window to see what they were doing. And my mom would have a stack of magazines and she'd be cutting up bindles. Back then, they used to sell cocaine in bindles, right? So she'd be cutting up the magazine. My dad would be weighing shit on the triple beam. My mom would hand him the bindles, a stack of bindles already cut. He would scoop it onto there, hand it to her. She'd fold it up. They had a little system going, right? I remember it well. Well, you know, being hungry all the time, there were times, you know, I would go into my mom's purse and I was still, you know, a quarter. Back then, you got to remember, back then, this is probably, let's say, 1981, 82, somewhere around there. $1 went a long ways. $20 was a lot of money. $100, you know, it was still the United States back then. You know, our money meant something back then. Now, I don't understand what we're doing and how the world got the way it did and how this country got the way it did, but that's a different story. But I would go in her little purse and I would steal like, you know, 50 cents, a quarter, you know, $1 if I was feeling crazy, right? And we lived on the east side back then. We lived across the street from Franklin School. And on the other side, by the community center, was the Pennywise Market. And I would go in there and I would buy me like a honey bun or something. And that would be my breakfast. And so one morning I wake up and it was one of those very violent nights. My dad had already left for work. My mom was passed out in the living room in between the couch and the heater on the floor. And her purse was right there. And I was really hungry. And there was nothing in the house to eat. And I knew I wanted to steal $1 or so, you know, whatever it was. I wanted to get into the purse and I wanted to get something. So I just wanted to eat. I was a little ass kid. I just wanted to eat, right? But she was laying by her purse. So I was like, fuck, if she catches me, she's going to beat the fuck out of me. But I was hungry. So I go over and I'm like, Mom, she's not waking up. So then I reached over and I opened her purse and then I walked away. Walked around the little house we had, right? Went back and looked, she didn't move. I undid the little purse wallet part, right? And it popped open. And I looked and it was full of money. I was like, holy shit. And I remember going through it and there were no like 1s and 5s and 10s. It was like 20s, 50s and 100s, right? And I was like, I knew that, you know, like I said earlier, that was a lot. Any denomination in that wallet was a lot of money at that time, especially for a little kid, right? And so I was like, what do I do? Right? I'm hungry. What do I do? I took a $20 bill out. And I looked at it and I put it in my pocket all fast. I closed her thing and I walked out of the house. Boom. I lived across the street from Franklin School. All I had to do was cross the street and I'm at school, right? Walking across that street, I knew, fuck, this is a lot of money. And I was thinking all the stuff I was going to buy. And I crossed the street and I stood there and I was next to the bush where the parking lot is for the library, for Franklin Library, right? And I was scared. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hide this money because my mom might notice that it's missing and she'll probably call and have the teachers check my pockets. You know, I was a little conniver myself. I had to be. I was a little hustler, right? What a fucked up hustle, right? Stealing from my mom. I had to eat. I put my hand in my pocket and I crumpled a $20 bill in my hand, right? I stuck my arm in the bush and I let go of it. In my head, it was a brilliant plan. I was going to come back. The teachers were going to check my pockets and they weren't going to find nothing. I was going to come back later and I was going to get my $20 and I was going to, buy all the candies I wanted and, whatever I wanted, chips, whatever I wanted, I was set. I went to school, regular day, no phone call. My pockets weren't checked. Later that day, I came home. I think it was during lunch. I think I snuck home because I don't know, something told me, go home. I went home and my mom was in the bedroom. It was a 1-bedroom house, tiny little duplex, right? And I could hear my mom, and she was on her hands and knees, and she was like looking around everywhere on the floor between the bed and the wall and all that whole area. But her back was to me. And she just kept saying, he's going to fucking kill me. And she was crying. She was hysterical. He's going to fucking kill me. He's going to fucking kill me. And I was like, Mom, what's wrong? And she said, I need to find some money. And she turned around and she looked at me, still on all hands and, on her hands and knees. And she looked at me and her face was all busted up. My dad had beat the fuck out of her for the $20 that was missing. What I came to realize later is all that money that was in her wallet and in the purse, that was their money to recop, to get more drugs. And it was $20 short. And my dad believed that my mom stole $20 from him and beat the fuck out of her and told her, find that fucking $20 or I'm killing you. I was like, holy shit. I took off out of the house. I went back to that bush. I was at that bush until late at night. And I never found the $20. I don't know if it blew away. I don't know if somebody saw me dropping it. I don't know. But I never stole again from my mom. I didn't like stealing. After that, I didn't like thieves. When you steal something from someone, most of the time you don't get to see what happens. You just stole what you stole and you move on. But I stole from my mom and I saw firsthand because of my actions. Regardless of, there should have been food in the house. I should have just went to the store and stole from them. So, anybody out there that, likes to steal, remember this story, man. You might not see what they go through, the people you're stealing from, but just remember my story and what my mom went through and what I had to go through after seeing it and knowing as a little kid that I caused that. That's my story for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.